Hi, it's Paula from On a String, and welcome to my Facebook Live session this beautiful sunny August Melbourne morning. And I'm going to be doing a session on citrus today, so getting into the summer vibes, bringing on those bright colours. First of all, I want to thank Angie from Chicky Babes Beads, who is our bead supplier today, and I've got a lovely pack of little citrus beads. I'm assuming that's what's in there that I'll open shortly. And I just thought I'd go through my bead stash and pull out a couple of things that I've made in citrus colours as well. So let's have a little bit of a look at those before we get started with the design on the fly. So citrus is obviously yellows, orange and green colours. This was one of the design on the flies I did last year with the yellow and orange colours in it. So really predominant yellow piece, this one, with a really large acrylic disc, some sort of orange and gold and a little tassel drop piece on that one. So that's a yellowish coloured piece. This is an older one of mine, which was a Bead Society challenge piece quite a few years ago now, which featured these sort of orange and red and white sea glass beads. So that's a lovely big beader embroidery piece, which predominantly colour is red, but it's got lots of orange tones in that as well. This one here is a more paler orange and more of a peach colour, but this is a design that was by Laura McCabe. So it's got these little metallic head buttons in there, bead embroidery techniques again, with that lovely feature of peach and navy. So really good contrast in how citrus colours can work together. And then this one here was a design by Glenda McNaughton a few years ago. So again, the lime colour here and how beautifully that looks with navy. So that's just a bit of an overview of how citrus colours can work together. And let's have a little bit of a look at the box that Angie has actually provided today so we can see what's actually in that. So good morning Shelley. Welcome to our session today. And let me just pop my glasses on so that I can actually see what I'm doing. Please pop onto the comments, say hi, let me know where you're coming from as well. Be great to hear from you. Okay, so Angie's given me this little box here, like a noodle box, I suppose you'd call it. And it's got a little tag on it and it says, well-behaved women rarely make history. Okay, well, we might be able to use that little tag somewhere in this piece. So I'm just going to undo the ribbons. So you guys get to see with me what's actually in this little pack. My husband actually went up to Angie's shop a few weeks ago and collected this for me. So he was even surprised this morning that I hadn't yet opened it. So I said, no, it's all about the surprise. I don't know what's in here, and I'll be unboxing with everybody along with you guys. You get to see it as the first time like I do. Okay, so there's the ribbons off there. We'll just put those aside too because they could potentially be utilised in something. And as I said, that little charm, which is just beautiful. Okay, I'll pull the ribbons out of the way and let's have a look inside this box. Great packaging in the citrus box. So we've got a little list here and I'll have a look at that in a second, but you can see Angie's put the design on the fly and the citrus theme on there as well. Packaged in orange and yellow paper. Okay, wow. All right, let's have a look. Oh, 3 distinct themes. This is really cool. Let's have a look at the orange one first. So we've got, oh, look at that little face bead there. And it's got an orange on the back. That is gorgeous. Angie, that's a winner. I'm not sure where you got that one from, but I love that. Good morning, Glenda, Alex, Carmen. Welcome to this morning's session. Okay, we've got a little face there. That's really cool. We've got a couple of orange enamel sort of spacer beads. I like using these sorts of beads where they've got the 2 holes in them. They're a really nice way. Oh, look, that could be a little dress or something on that doll. So that could go together. We've got some orange and green little drop beads as well. And then some beautiful orange size 8 beads too. So that's a really cool kit. Now let's have a look at the yellow ones. Oh, I really like these, Angie. These are a great surprise. Okay, we've got a yellow domed crystal piece here, glass piece. So it's got a sort of a cut piece on the back there. There are some yellow dagger beads. There's a little bumblebee cabochon. You can see automatically how these go together. And wow, look at those beautiful yellow flower beads too. Gorgeous, gorgeous pieces. Oh, this is going to be fun today. Citrus colours, it's really cool. Morning, Fiona. welcome this morning. Fiona is up in Shepparton as well, so welcome this morning, Fiona. So we've got some size 8 lime beads there. Some look a little bit like trees or points, some enamel pieces there. Oh, a beautiful big lime coloured crystal centre stone. Wow, that's amazing. And some little tiny lime flowers, and then some hexagon beads. So there's lots for me to play with today in the yellow and green theme. So let's put some of this other stuff out of the way. Okay, I'm going to start with the little orange lady here, the orange head. And I can sort of see what that's going to happen with her little head and then a body. So let's make a body. Now, this has got some gold surround on it. So gold will be my accent piece that I will use with this. Isn't this beautiful? It's got a hole all the way through. Good. So you can see there's the hole. So I'll be able to utilize that hole to actually connect to the piece. And you can see here, my thoughts are this could be just some sort of little dangle thing that I could hang off a, handbag or off my bead desk somewhere like that. And it's got some lovely little drops there as well in that sort of orange and lime colours. So let's grab out some, I'm going to do some gold beads around this edge here, and I'm going to just grab some gold matte beads. And this is one of my favourite colours that I use all the time, this Check Matte Pale Aztec Gold. I'm just going to get some fire line. So I'll start with a size 6 fire line and my trusty size 10 needle over here. And let's do some sort of capture of seed beads around the edge of that orange piece there so that I can eventually join that little head together. And I can see this being a really fun little dangle. So I love that little bead, Angie. That's just gorgeous. Good job on finding a little orange head. Good morning, Carol from New Mexico. Wow. Thank you for joining me. That's fantastic. Thanks, Carol. Is this a new to you Facebook Live on the Design on the Fly with me? So I really appreciate you coming along to that. Thank you. Okay, so I've just picked up 4 seed beads. I've gone through the holes on the outside of that little enamel piece, just sort of holding my thread in tension just there as well. And I'm just picking up another 4 on this side, and I'll go through the opposite side there. So these sorts of beads that have a metallic surround and then that, the 2 holes are really great for using as a base for building a little wall of seed beads around. I'm just going to do a little half hitch knot there, just on that section here, just to sort of hold that in place as well. So you can see now when I pull that nice and taut, I've got the little 4 beads either side, so that gives me a nice anchor point to start building from. Oh, thanks. Angie's joined us as well. So for those who you don't know, Angie from Chicky Babes Beads is our bead supplier today, and she's provided these little orange beads, yellow and green, including the little head bead, and that comes from Japan. So thanks, Angie, for letting us know about that one. Now what I'm going to do here is do a little bit of a skirt, I think, with the drop beads. So I'm just going to pick up alternating gold and drop beads here, enough to sort of go around that width of the bottom of the piece there. So I'm literally guessing, and I've got 4 drop beads and then 5 of the gold, and we'll see if that's enough to fit around the bottom. No, it's not. I need a couple more. Okay, so I'll just go back and add a couple more on there. So another gold and orange little drop, and then another gold. We'll see if that fits now. And then I could build out that as a bit more of a bottom fringe too on that piece. So you can see straight away how that makes like a little skirt on our little doll here. So I'm pretty happy with how that looks already. It's going to look fun. I can do some more fringing around the bottom here as well. I may not use the second orange piece in this. We'll just put that aside for the moment. Okay, so I'm just going to do another little half hitch knot here just to again make that a bit more secure. Give a bit more strength and tension in that little band around the piece. And then I want to try and come over the top of this as well. So I'll need, I don't know how many beads, quite a few more than the 4 on the sides, but I want to try and keep it even in case I do a peyote band there. So that's 6, 11, let's try 12 and see if that works. No, still need a couple more. You can see there I've got a little bit of a gap. So let's try 2 more beads there, which makes 14, and then I've got 5 on either side, which is 10, so it's 24, so it's an even number, which is good. Okay, there we go. I've now got a nice little band wrapped right away around that piece. We'll come back and do some more fringing and drops off the bottom there. Again, I'm just going to do a half hitch knot here, just so that I can reverse my direction on the piece here, and again give a little bit more security to that band as we pull it nice and taut. Okay. At some point I'll just remove that tail thread as well. And now I'm just going to do a little peyote band there. Actually, I probably could have had an even number. Let me think about that. I might do 2 at the top. Yeah, just thinking out loud. So what I want to do now is put an orange bead on there, and I'm going to grab out one of my orange beads here. I'll get a smaller. So Angie's given me some 8s, but I want an 11. So I've just grabbed out an orange 11. And this is the Miyuki 423, which is that sort of orange frosted colour. Another one of my favourites that I like to use. So I'm just going to do a little peyote sort of strip there on the top of the gold. Like that. But when I get to the top, I will actually do... I'll skip over 2 so that I've got an even number here. I think that's how it'll work. And also that gives me a good spot to sort of make the join or the neck as what I think will be for this little orange head. Guessing what that's going to look like, but I think that's how it will work. Okay. Isn't it cool, Linda? Thanks, Linda, for joining as well. This little orange girl face is just beautiful, Angie. Great, great pics today. So for those of you who don't know, Angie's shop in Shepparton is an absolute treasure trove of different sorts of beads and findings and really cool pieces that she obviously sources from all over the world, including Japan, for this little orange head doll. So thanks, Angie. Great beads today. Really, really love the citrus theme and what you've come up with. And as I said, she has given me a little list here, so I'll have a look at that later and do some proper names. And I'm sure that if anybody's interested in getting some of these beads and kits, just send Angie a message. You can see her name and details in the comments here. And by all means, it's Angie at Chicky Babes Beads. So you can check her out on Facebook and send her a message if you're interested in some of these. So you can see now when I'm starting to do that second peyote strip, that's really tightening that all the way around. I think I'm going to have a problem with my count. I think I'm going to need odd rather than even, but I'll work that out when I get to the end. I think I'll probably just break a bead, to be honest, and go back to having an odd number. I had thought I'd do 2 at the top, but as I'm doing it, it's just looking really nice with just the 1 bead. Okay, so, and as you know, if this is the first time in joining me in a design on the fly, I literally do not know what I'm going to be making. And I am as surprised as you are with the beads that are provided. And I will make mistakes as I'm working on these pieces, including undoing things if they're not working or breaking beads if I need to, which, as I said, I think I'm going to be doing very, very soon. Okay, so I've just come right to the very end here, and I'm pulling really tightly on that thread so it sits really nicely, that capture. I am going to just get rid of one of those gold beads. So the way to do that, I've just popped my awl in there, and I've just popped that and broken that gold bead out. Okay, which that's better. So now I've got a gold on either side there. Again, I'm just going to come through a couple of beads here and do a little half hitch knot and then reverse my direction and go back to that area that I was in before. Because what I want to do now is pop another little bead just on top of the gold one there. And this time I'm going to grab a gold size 15 bead. And I've just popped some of them out on my mat, and I've done it in a very messy format there. Haven't kept my nice little sections. When you watch these, you'll see what a messy beader I tend to be as well, just, you know, throwing things around on the board as I need them. Okay, so I've now picked up a size 15 bead. I'm just going to pop that in between the orange. So again, there's another little row of peyote and a nice edge that's forming here. And then we'll go and do some more work on the skirt of this little orange doll that's going to be a really fun charm to hang on something. She could potentially have a little tiny tassel skirt maybe. Anyway, I'll think about what that might be. But you can see here that little tiny bit of gold now just finishes that off nicely and is going to look lovely with her little drop skirt that we're going to make on the bottom of this. So what do you think? What do you think about the citrus theme? Let me know in the comments. It's lovely to hear your thoughts on these beads and surprise packages that I get from my lovely bead suppliers. So again, thanks Angie for this. It's awesome to work with these beads. Okay, so I've just done the 2 rows. So when you look at that edge there, I can possibly come back around this back edge here and do another row. I might do that just to sort of really cover off that back edge. I'm not ready to do that just yet. That's something I'll do at the finish. But I'm going to just remove that tail thread because that's going to annoy me and be in the way. So I'll just zap that off. Come on. Move that out of the way. And let's do a little bit more on this skirt. So I've come out between the drop beads. What I'm going to do this time, I'm just going to pick up a 15, another drop and a 15, and I'm going to go through the next drop bead. So by adding those couple of 15s on either side, let me just pull that. You can see that's giving me a bit more length in that drop feature. So it's creating a frilly little skirt. Again, a 15, a drop and a 15, and go through the next drop bead. Just like that. 15, drop and a 15 through the next drop. Oh, this looks fun. Actually, this would be a really nice earring too. You could make really nice earrings like that as well. But I really want to use that little head, so I either have to get another one and make a second one for a pair of earrings. But yeah, or more of these because that's a really nice component, Angie. I like that enamel orange colour. Orange is a colour I wear a lot personally, but I know it's something that not a lot of people really like as a fashion colour. Personally, I love it. It's one of my favourite colours to wear in summertime. So I find it a really versatile colour. It suits my skin tone as well, but it's, yeah, certainly a colour I like to wear in summertime. Yellow, not so much, but definitely orange I do. Okay, so you can see there I've created a little bit more of a drop fringe there. One of those is not behaving. It's facing the wrong way. There, I'll just move that. Yeah, that's better. So you can see there now I've got a little bit extra depth with that fringe. Morning, Sandra. Welcome. Sandra's joining us from Queensland. Thanks for coming along today. This is terrific to have so much representation from across Australia and across the world. So thank you so much for coming along, everybody. Okay, now I'm just going to reverse direction again because I probably want to try and add another little layer of fringe. So what I'm going to do is come back out of the size 15 and drop bead that I've just added like that and add that same sequence again. So 15, drop and 15, go through the next drop bead like that, 15, drop, 15 through the next drop, and this will add 4 drop beads in this row, 15, drop and 15. And each time when I get to the end, I just sort of reverse the direction so that I can come back and make more of that sort of little frilly skirt. The drop beads, they're about I suppose a 3mm drop bead. They're a lovely little glass green with a little tinge of orange in them as well. And you can see now that's made a really roughly little skirt on the bottom. So when we join our little head together like that, don't know how I'm going to join it yet, but you can sort of see the theme that I'm going for. I think I'll do one more sort of row of drop beads there as well. So I've just added 4 on that time. And when I, again, do that little half hitch knot just on the edge there, like that. And then I'm going to come back through And where am I going to come out of? The last one added, like that. Is that going to work? Yep, I think so. And again, I'll do the same thing. So 15 drop and 15 and through that previous one. So that you can see there, it just adds little layers of length there on the drop fringe. So it's a type of a peyote, I suppose, going through each alternate one. But because of the bubbly nature of the drops, it's just created a different technique and finish. It looks pretty cool. Again, so that time I just added 3. So 1, 2, 3. So maybe I might do one more even to get down to 1, and it creates a really nice finish there. So again, I'm just going to go through that sort of last section and do a half hitch right there like that. Come back through the previous 15 and drop bead. Add on a 15, drop 15, go through the next one. So this time it will just be 2 that I will add. 15, drop and 15, and through that last one there. This looks a really fun technique with the bubbles. It's because of the orange sort of splash that these drops have got in them, it's giving a really nice two-tone effect. I'm going to add one more because you can see just here there's a nice gap there for one more to be added. So it's really created a sort of a triangular shield shape with these little drop beads now. So again, I come right back through, reversed my direction, came back through just the 15 and the drop, pick up a 15, drop and 15, and go through the next bead like that. And there we've got a really nice bubbly skirt section for this little head piece. But again, this would be a fun earring too. Like that as well, with that sort of a technique. Anything with, you know, that enamel bead, 2-hole bead capture, and you could do a little sort of drop fringe like this, like I've just done. I'm just sort of going through and trying to reverse my thread to come back up at the other side. That's what the back looks like too. Looks nice and neat on the back as well. And one of the things you can do with these 2-hole beads is you could also run a little row of beads in the back here also. So not hard to actually, you know, pull your thread through and run a couple of beads if you didn't want to see thread in that back area as well. I want to try and get my needle all the way back up to, actually I want to come up to that back edge there. So I'm just sort of moving the needle through the beads to come out in the right section. Great theme, Angie. Really, really happy with these citrus beads. They're great fun. So anybody else like using orange beads in their bead work, or lime or yellow? Tell me about your sort of experiences using some of these bright summery citrus colors as well. So let me get back. So what I want to do, I want to get my needle all the way back to that sort of gold edge there. And is that where I want to be coming out of? I'm just going to go up a couple there. And what I want to do is just add one little row of 15s on that gold gap at the back there. So just sort of found the right spot to be in. And just run a little row of 15s in that peyote gap just to finish that edge off nicely as well. Also gives me another anchor point if I want to add something else around this or onto the back. Maybe I'll make little arms. She might have little arms that come out of the sides of this dress/skirt that we've made. But a fun little charm, you know, as I said, to hang on a bag, on off your bead desk, that sort of thing. It's a cute little charm with her little orange cap on her head. Okay. Oh, I love orange with purple too, Glenda, and I'm going to show you a couple of things in a minute about using orange with different colours. So I've pulled out some of my colour cube cards to have a look at today with these colours. And we'll have a look at those in a moment. Okay, so I'm just going to reverse my thread and direction again and come back up near the top. So you can see there I've just done a little row of gold around the back edge here. And let's go all the way up to the top. Think about how we might join this on. So I'm just trying to get to the center, which is probably about there, I think. That's probably about the center. We'll just check that. No, I need to come over one more. Okay, there's a center bead just there, that orange one right at the very top. So I want to actually join that little head together like that. So I might pop a bead in. Does she need a neck? Yeah, probably she does need a neck. So what I'm going to do is do a little, maybe I'll do a cubic right angle weave piece unit, just one unit. We'll see what that looks like. I'll do one little crawl unit, yep, as a neck. So you can see there I've used the orange bead as the base. I'll come around, and it's not quite the right direction for craw, in that because it's coming off peyote, it's going in the other way, but it will still work. So I've just picked up again 2 beads, and then I'm going to go through the side bead just here. Come back through that first one, through the back. So it will be a craw unit, but it won't be a perfect craw unit because the peyote beads go in the opposite direction, not in the craw direction, but it will still work. Just sort of twisting that bottom bead where I want it to be. And realistically, you won't see that change of direction. So there's my little craw unit. So you can see there I've got 4 beads at the top, and I've got 4 beads on each side. And what I can do now is just sort of tighten that by popping a little gold bead either side of that craw. You can see there if I just pop a gold one in, little 15 in that craw unit like that, and come back to the other side and do the same thing. So I'm just using the base beads that I put in that peyote wrap. Pop a little gold one here and another little gold one here. So you can see now I've made a little neck. It's a fat neck really, but you know, you get the gist of what I'm trying to do. There's the top of what that actually looks like. So you can see now I've got my lovely little craw 4 sections and the little gold beads there as well. So let's look at what she looks like with her head on her neck. Looks pretty good. Okay, so we've got this nice little bead here with a hole, and I'll just pull that through for the moment to have a look at. I'm not coming out of the right area, so I need to go back and make sure I'm coming out of the right area on the bottom piece. The other thing I could potentially do would be put like a gold cap or something on there as well, but I'll just play with this for the moment. So I want my needle coming out of the center of that craw piece so that it's central to her little neck. I'm also just going to pop a size 11 bead on first, which will hopefully fill in that little hole, go into that little hole just there. No, I need a 15. And look, the reason I want to, I think the 15 is probably going to go, no, the 15 will get lost in the hole there. I just want to try and fill that little hole there. So we'll see whether that works or not. Now, we've got some little opportunity to do a little bit of fringing on the top of her head. And of course, I've got the orange beads here that Angie's given me. I could do a couple more little drop beads at the top just to match. So I think that's probably what will work. So I'm just going to pick up a gold, a little drop bead, and then a 15. Come back through the drop and the 11. And that's really just to sort of, you know, tie in the theme of the little skirt as well. Come back through my little craw neck section there, maneuver my threads around so that I'm changing direction again. And then I'm going to go back up through that size 11 that I popped in for the hole, right back up through the head there as well. Let's repeat that again. So a gold, a little drop, and then a 15. And go back through the drop and the 11, all the way through that 11 that sits in her neck, and just come back through a couple of the beads in the craw section, just to sort of tighten and straighten that up. You can see that's working really well now. And we'll do one more. So again, go back up through that 11 bead, right up through to her head, top of her head there. Ah, she looks fun. Gold, little drop, and then another 15. And so now we've got a nice little top section that matches her skirt. Come all the way through like that. And have a look at her. She's fun. It's a really good bag identifier. That's a great tip, Alex. Thank you for that. It's certainly something I think Ivy, my granddaughter, would love on her school bag. So yes, I definitely could do something like that with this. Just sort of tightening and securing those that craw section around the top here. Really just making that firm by going through that a couple of times. And you can see how good that looks now with her little orange back. Or is it a peach? Maybe it's a peach. I don't know. No, it's definitely an orange. But she looks like fun now. And now I think she needs a couple of arms. So let's come down to the side of her body and make an arm. If you saw my little dollies that I did for International Bead Week, this is how I made the arms for those. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing for this little mite. The way that I did the arms on those dolls. So I really just want to try and get my needle to be coming out of a peyote side down here. So I'm just sort of moving around to get to the right spot. And make a little arm, probably about, not halfway down, yeah, probably around there. So the arms are just 3 or 4 size 11 beads like that. And then she needs hands. Now, the flesh colour that I use makes lovely little hands. So this colour is called Matte Opaque Blush. And this is a really nice little sort of skin colour. So then I just pick up 3 beads and then come back through the 4 that are the arm, and then the little 3 turn into a hand, just like that. So I'll just tighten that by going through a couple of beads here on the side. And the tighter you pull it, the more her hands will either wave up in the air or go down the side. So she's waving like that with her little arm. And then I'm just going to go through to the other side. Now remember, when I started this project, we've got those lovely 2 holes in the side of the bead there. And I'm going to use that to go straight across to the other side. So there's one arm. And we'll just move up to here. Do that second arm. I think that's probably the right spot. Again, 4 of the gold beads. And you could use gold or orange. It really wouldn't matter. 3 little beads for the hand. And again, come back through the 4 beads like that to make the hand. When you pull that tight, it creates that nice little sort of T shape at the end. So there's her little arms. And then I think probably just a little loop to hang with this little lady is all she needs. It's fun. It's a really fun little piece. So I'm pretty happy with that one. I think that looks really cool. So I'm just going to finish that thread off here. Haven't really got enough thread, I don't think, to go all the way back up to the top. And I probably should have done the loop beforehand, before I came down and did the arms. But anyway, it is what it is. Oh, no, maybe I have. Let's see if I've got enough to get back up there. So if you're doing something like this, think about the timing of doing the loop. As I said, I should have done the loop before I went down and did the arms, but never mind. I'll just go back to where I was. And again, those little size 15s that I put in at the back are handy to just help travel through the beadwork as well. Let's go all the way back up to the top of the head here. So again, using the little neck that I created, and poke my needle in there, come right out at the top. Yep, I've got enough beads there. And let's make a little loop. So my loop, actually I'm going to do orange and gold loop. So that sort of matches the theme of the little side of the body that we put together. So I'm just alternating gold and orange size 11 beads here. I don't know how many yet, probably 20 at a guess. Like that. Needs a couple more. So I want this to be a big enough loop to be able to hang on something. And you could potentially put a little cord or something on there as well. And I'm just going to go back down through that hole, or use potentially these beads that I put on before for that little fringe to make a little loop. So you can see there's a tiny little loop that you can hang that little piece on. I think it probably needs to be a little bit bigger and maybe have a cord, a little bit smaller and have a cord on it is what I think it needs. I'm going to make that a bit smaller, because if it's too big, yeah, I just think it needs to be a bit smaller. And then I'm going to hang a nice little piece of orange or lime ribbon. Actually, Angie gave me some beautiful ribbon with this, so let's use that to tie off and make the loop on this little piece. So sorry, I'm just rethreading my needle there. So I've cut my loop back to, maybe it's about 15 beads now. Yeah, it's probably about 15, 5, 10. Oh, good guess, Paula. It's 15 beads. So I'm just going to go through those again and sort of just secure that on the top of the head there. And then I'm going to use that little loop to tie the ribbon on. So come back through, go all the way through those beads again in that little loop. And then we'll get some ribbon and tie her off. And then she's a lovely little handbag charm, school bag charm, you know, a nice little decorative piece, decoration. So I'm just bringing my needle all the way back down through the neck again to secure that, and go through a couple of beads and do a couple of knots. So we've got lots of half hitch knots holding this thread in place in different spots. And it's just a matter of just finishing that thread off now. So again, I'll get my thread burner. Finish her. So there's my lovely little hanging piece, her little arms, her little fringe skirt. She's very fun. And as I said, I've got this lovely ribbon that's here as well. So let's just grab some of that yellow ribbon and tie that through that loop. That I created. There we go. What do you think? Clementine. Gorgeous name for her. Absolutely. That's what she should be called, with her little skirt. I love it. I really love this one. I think this is super fun. Angie, you're a winner with this. This is just beautiful. So as you can see, she's got her little arms, a little drop frilled skirt, and a couple of drop beads at the top to match. And we've used the same beads on that loop to create that little ribbon. So she's really fun. Okay, let's put orange aside and our little Clementine doll and see what's next. Love these, Angie. I'm going to have to get some more of them. So orange. Now let's have a look at yellow. So yellow obviously is another beautiful citrus colour. As I said, it's not a colour that I often wear a lot of myself, although I did buy a few lemon coloured pieces last summer and have made a few lemon coloured earrings and bits and pieces. But it's, as I said, not a colour that I wear a lot of. So it's often my hardest colour to work with. And I love the challenge of working with something like yellow. But let's have a look at what that looks like. Just put those away. Look at me being all tidy. Okay, the skin coloured ones away, and they can just go flicked over there. Okay, yellow. So we've got some little dagger beads. These are a single hole dagger, and they look like they've got an AB coating on them. So, you know, really nice for a fringe sort of drop, I think, something like this. So there's some yellow dagger beads, and we'll have a look at the list and see what Angie's put on there as well as what they are. Got this little tiny glass cabochon and a little bee colour, 14 mil. We've got what Angie has called an 18 by 25 oval vintage German cabochon in yellow. So this is beautiful. It's got this lovely sort of cut back like a Rivoli crystal, and then the yellow domed front. I mean, these go together so well. And then there's these two little flower pieces also. They're like a matte enamel sort of yellow colour with a gold drop centre. I mean, I'm not going to use them with this. I think they're a separate piece, but I think these start to go together really well. And again, you know, this is a Rivoli that we can capture. We've got the gold bee piece that would sit on the top of that. And then, oh, would it go that? No, it definitely would go that way. You know, potentially could have sort of flowers come out like that. I could cut those enamel pieces off, and something like that might work as well. So let's have a bit of a play around. Okay, and here is the list of what that is. It's a 14 mil glass bee cabochon, 10 5 by 16 glass daggers in lemon, the 18 by 25 oval vintage German cabochon in yellow, and the two yellow flower charms. And I said I was going to show you the cards that I grabbed out before. There's the, if you haven't seen these are the Colour Cube cards. And these come from a woman called Sarah Renee Clark. And they're a big box of cards you can actually buy. The cards are a really great guide to how to use different colours together. So I grabbed out the yellow, and you can see here that sort of sunflower colour. And these are colours that are complementary to go with yellow on that theme. And they've got all of the hex codes and things if you need those as well. And then I've grabbed another one, which is the sort of the tulip. So you can see there the yellow with orange and brown and green. So either of those give you really good options to actually put a complementary colour with that yellow. I think I'm leaning more towards this sort of colourway. So the yellow and brown and green, I think, will be the colours that I'm going to pull out to have a look at those. So if you haven't seen those cards, the Sarah Renee cards, have a look for those online, the Colour Cubes. They're really fun. All right, let's grab out, as I said, I think green and brown are really good colours to be able to go with this. So I've got some nice brown, there's a really good brown, sort of mottled brown colour. And I think maybe, oh no, there's a darker bronzy sort of one as well. And let's get some green also. And it's sort of a deeper foresty green colour, isn't it, on that? So let's see what I have in the darker green colours. That's a greeny brown. Oh, that's a bit muddy, but it's not quite right in terms of what I think I need. I need a darker green. There's another sort of green colour. Okay, there's a couple of options to put with that. It also has orange, but I don't think I'm going to do that sort of orangey colour with it because I want to focus more on the yellow. All right, so start with the centre cabochon here. Now this is, as Angie said, an 18 by 25, and one of the ways that I want to try and capture that somehow, I mean, I could do bead embroidery and build it up, but I don't think I want to. I think I'm going to go to my method that uses the demi-round beads. I think that's what's going to work with this. So I'm going to grab out the gold demi-rounds, given that it's yellow. So this is a technique you may or may not have seen me use this before. It's what I actually call the dog bone technique, and it's a way that we're going to build up really quickly a nice cabochon capture method. So for this, I'm going to use crystal fire line for this, not smoke. So let me just find the end of my reel here. It's here somewhere. And this little method of dog bones, it's one that features on my treble brilliance piece. So this was a design I did a few years ago, and using this method of creating these little dog bones builds up a really nice wall for capturing pieces. So I'll show you a finished piece so you'll get to sort of see what I mean by this, but it's a fun way to actually capture cabs really quickly, and gives you great options with the demi-round beads because of the large holes that are in them for building off them. Sorry, I just need to fix that thread to be able to thread that needle. Okay, so there's my threaded needle. Now I'm just going to show you quickly, where's that treble brilliance piece? Over here. Treble brilliance was a piece I did, as I said, a few years ago, and you can just see the demi-rounds here around the edge. That's what we're going to be creating, this little capture method here. So I'm going to go through and show you how we actually do that. Now to use that, I need a size 8 bead to go with my demi-rounds there. So I've just grabbed out some gold size 8 beads. And the way that I'll start that is I pick up a size 8 demi-round, and then another size 8 bead. Sorry, I pick up a demi-round, a size 8 and a demi-round. That's right, yeah. Haven't done this for a little while. Just pull that through till I've got a reasonable tail. Then I'm going to go back through the size 8 and the demi-round bead, and then come back through to the next size 8 bead like that. So you can see there's my first little dog bone that I've just created. And I think it was Lavinia who called it a dog bone. Okay, I've just picked up another size 8 bead, and I'm going to go back through that first size 8 bead. So I'm square stitching the two size 8s together. I'm then coming back through that size 8 bead like that. I pick up another demi-round, go back through the size 8, and then another demi-round and back up through the size 8 again. So you can see there now I've got these two little dog bones sitting side by side. So really fun way to actually make a nice easy cabochon method. Okay, so let's just quickly repeat that. So you'll have to bear with me while I do this one. Yes, it was a Zoom class, Linda. That's right. That was back in the dark old days of COVID. We did that one. Treble Brilliance is available at my Etsy store. If you're interested in making that particular necklace, you can find the pattern there on my Etsy store. And it is, really fun design necklace, and gives you a good technique with this this dog bone technique. Sorry, I just tangled my loop there. So again, I've just square stitched a size 8 next to each other. Now, it's a little bit lacy at the moment, but what that gives us is lots of flexibility to add beads in around the edges. And that lacy effect is also really flexible, so it wraps really nicely around a central stone cabochon piece. And the size 8s make it a really quick way to build this up. I've used this technique to do earrings, around 14mm crystals, all that sort of stuff. So it does work really well around all different sizes and shapes, so ovals and rounds in beads. So I think I've done an oval before, but if not, this is the first time, and we'll trial it here and see what happens. Morning, Tori. You've missed our little clementine dolly that I made. This was the first piece that we did today. So using the little orange head and then the central enamel piece. So that was really fun. The first one was the clementine dolly. Now we're going on to the yellow pack. And then I've got some beautiful lime green ones to play with there as well. Great beads by Angie today in supplying this. So thank you again, Angie, for coming up with these lovely, lovely beads for me to play with. Okay. So I'm just keeping on going, square stitching the central size 8 beads. So you can see there I've got my little row now of little dog bone beads. And I'll just keep joining these together. And what I want to have is enough of a little strip here that wraps around the cabochon. So it can be a little bit looser. It doesn't have to be too firm at this point because we want to be able to have some flexibility with this wrap so that it comes up over the sides and edges of the stone that we're going to work with. This vintage yellow oval stone. And then there's that lovely great big green one there. That's the next one to be thinking about. I mean, those little enamel flowers there in the yellow that Angie's provided, I mean, that's such a simple earring design. That doesn't really need much more done to it than, you know, perhaps a little bit of fringe at top or even a little tiny bee decal on that would look fun as well. But I'll think about that. I'll keep going with this for the minute. Or potentially one of these might work with the drop fringing. And the little yellow daggers that are there, I could do a similar sort of drop fringe like I just did on the little dolly. I can sort of see how that will work for dagger fringing too, or add some other colours in for that fringe as well. Remembering that we've got the green and brown concepts to add into this to match that sunflower theme from the colour cube cards. Of course, there is, you know, some other colours to pick up in that little bee as well. So you can see there's my lovely lacy looking piece. I'm about halfway, so I want to get that so that it wraps all the way around that piece soon. So my tech support, Brian, has just messaged. He'll be coming over about 2 o'clock. Okay, thanks, Brian. He's obviously got on and had a look at my Facebook Live because I've not answered my phone, I'd say. Fine, I'll see you this afternoon. Okay. Now, is anyone beading along at the same time with me today? I'd love to hear what you're beading along with as well. And don't forget, we have the Honor String bead-alongs that happen in the last Thursday evening of the month. So we've been concentrating on freeform peyote the last 3 months. And I haven't thought about what the next one's going to focus on, but I'll set that up shortly. So if you are interested in joining the Honor String bead-along group, there is a separate Facebook group for that. I'd love to see you there if you'd like to join in on that. And we just have a monthly session where we bead along together on Zoom so we can chat and it's not just me talking the whole time. And you can bead along with the project that we have our focus on, or you can bead your own thing if you wanted to do that as well. So if you're interested, please either send me a message or you can join the Honor String bead along group, and I'd love to see you come along to that once a month when we just bead and chat. So watch out for that. And as I said, sometimes we do a theme, or you can just bead your own thing. And our 2 themes that we've done this year, Freeform Peyote and the Kaleidocycles, have been great fun to expand your beading knowledge and learn at the same time with other people. Okay, well, how's my little strip going? Nearly there. So I'm just sort of, you know, eyeballing how much more I need to do. So probably about another 5. What my preference would be is that it's an even number. I don't know yet if that's the case, only because even makes it a little bit easier, you know, for anything that I want to add off the sides, etc., or do any netting, that type of thing. It won't be the end of the world if it's not, but my preference will be that it's an even number. So I'm just going to hope that that's the case. So Tori, this technique that I'm doing now, this is what I call my dog bone technique. So it's square stitching a central bead, which is the size 8 bead, together, and then just putting a demi round bead either side of that square stitched size 8. And what that does is create a really cool way to capture cabochons and stones and things, and I'll show you what happens in a moment. So you can see there's my strip that I've done of little dog bones, and that's what they look like. And it's a bit lacy and a bit open, but that's okay. We want it to be like that in a moment. So it's called, well, it's got 5, 10, 15, 20, 23. Okay, what did I say I wanted? An even number. So I'm either going to take one off or add one on. And I think I'll add one on rather than try and stretch it. I'd rather add one on. So I've got 24 beads there. And then I'm going to join the first bead, the first size 8 bead, to the last size 8 bead. And what I want to be careful of is that I don't twist this little strip. So I'll just keep that all going in the same direction around my finger like that. And then come back through that very first size 8 bead. And then go back through that size 8 bead that I was coming out of before. And I've just joined those two together. I'll go through that another time just to sort of tighten that, like that. So I've now got my nice little loose strip, which is just going to sit beautifully around that cabochon. So you can see how that's going to work. Now I'm going to add in a 3mm usually works really well with this. So remember the colours were green and brown. Green and brown. Let's see what I can find that's going to fit that bill in green and brown to go around that edge. And a 3mm, and it can be either a bicone, it can be a fire polish, it can be a round. All of those work really well with something like this. Now I've got these sort of dark coppery ones and light copper. I think the dark copper is better. And I've got some greeny coloured ones. And ironically, these came from Angie. These are a beautiful bead. These 3mm beads here. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to do the back before we do the front. So the way to do the back is to grab, again, I'll grab out the coppery coloured size 11 beads. So the back is going to cup that much nicer than what the my computer has just brought up I can't see my screen. Hang on one second. Oh, there we go. It's just told me I had emojis going everywhere. Anyway, they're gone. So I'm bringing my needle out of one of the demi-round beads just here. What I'm going to do is pick up one size 11 bead and go through the next demi-round, just all the way around this piece like that. What this does here with using a size 11 at the back, and then I'm going to use a size 3mm at the front, it actually creates a really nice little nest for this cab to fit in. So again, I'll just run that size 11 all the way like that. And when I start to pull that, you'll see that it'll flare it out and make it like a little nest, just perfect to pop that central stone in. And it's a bit loosey-goosey at the moment, but that's okay. We're happy with that because the flexibility that comes from having that square stitch base and the demi-rounds, all of that just works together nice. You can see how that's starting to pull together in that little sort of skirt formation. Pop that around my finger again. And I'm just going through each of those demi-rounds and adding a size 11 bead in between. At some point I'll just remove that tail thread, not just yet, but when I've gone through a couple more pieces. Just snip that off. And I'm nearly at the end. So remember, we had a nice even number of 24 beads in this as well, which just works well for netting and all those sort of things. The other thing is, ironically, when I've done this technique before, it's often the size of the cabochon is the number of dog bones that you need. So remember, this was a 25 mil oval. So ironically, we've got 24 dog bones. When I've done this with 14 mil pieces, you need 14 dog bones. It's pretty similar number to the diameter of your piece. That's just a bit of fun maths for you. Okay, so when I pull that taut, you can see there I've now got a nice sort of circular shape there. I'm just going to move that tail thread out of the way. And then when I set my little oval in there, you can see how that's going to hold in the back. Not ready to do that just yet. And now we're going to sort of capture over the front. So I'll pull that taut. I'm going to bring my needle now to come out of one of the demi rounds on the top, the front. And I'll just reverse direction. And when I pop that in there, if I add in a 3 mil in between, remember the brown is one of the colours that the guide suggested as well, so that sort of bronzy coppery tones goes well with the gold and with the yellow bee sort of theme. So now I've got the 3 mil sitting there. So when I pop that in here, you can see how that, oh, that's upside down. You can see how that little edge is going to sit over the top. We'll do some netting around the inside, but the 3 mils now start to form a nice edge around there as well. And this piece that we're using here with the bee, cabochon, and this large gold or yellow oval, it's obviously going to be some sort of pendant hanging piece when it's finished. But this technique you can utilize in lots of round and oval shapes. You can see how that's coming together. Let's pop that in and just do another check. Now, oval's a little bit trickier than a round, only because you've sort of got, you know, longer sides and things, but it will still work. It's not a sharp corner that we're going around. It's a, you know, an elongated shape, but it will still work for this sort of capture method. Sometimes with an oval, you might need to have a, you know, smaller count around the top of the oval and a, you know, longer count on the sides, or just sort of think about where your points of the oval might be. But this, I think this is going to work. I think this is going to work. I'm sure it'll be fine. I'll just keep going with this. Now I'm nearly at the very start of where my little 3 mils are happening. And I just lost a demi round. That's probably where I cut off my tail thread. That'd be right. Let me just go back and add one more in. Yep, I was a bit ambitious cutting that off before. Okay, I'm just going to tie a little tiny knot there so that that bit doesn't come undone. As I said, you get to see everything when I'm making these pieces. None of us as beaders don't ever not make mistakes. And I'll just come back to where I was, pick up a demi round again, pop that back in. Okay. Move back to where I was. But don't ever let, you know, if you've made a mistake, don't panic. You can fix mistakes pretty easily in beading. Pop that one in there, and then I've just got one more that I do need to try and squeeze in that gap. Okay, so there you can see my nice little ring now. That is going to set around here. That's what I think is going to happen. Now, oval versus round. Let me just think about this. I think if this was a totally round piece, this is perfect. But because it's oval, I do think I'm going to have to take out a 3mm on each side. That's interesting. I mean, that's where I've just, maneuvered to add one in, but I'm going to pull that out. That can be a side piece. And then I'm going to take out one on this side, so the opposite. Let me just count what that is. So then if it's 24, I take out 2, I need 11, don't I? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I'm going to take out that one right there. And to take that out, I literally am just going to break it. Okay. So what that's done now, it's created that nice sort of, made it more of an oval shape. Yep, that's going to work. Okay. There you go. That was really designing that on the fly. So you can see there now I've got 2 sides where there is no 3mm in between. Just so that we've got a longer side on the ovals than on a round piece. So yeah, if I was doing that from the very start, I probably just, would have skipped over that and not added that in the first instance. But I just broke it to get through. Okay. So that's now become more oval shaped. I'm just pulling that really tight so that that side joins up as well rather than round. Beautiful. Now what we want to do is do some sort of netting over the front of this to hold this in place, because we've got our really nice net at the back. The back looks lovely, but we want to be able to hold this in place around the front. So this is when we start to do some netting over the top of these little rounds here, to hold that in. So what I might do, let's grab some size 15s again. So I've got some yellow gold ones, or do I need oh no, I think maybe I'll get a bronzy sort of colour, just so that there's a little bit of variation in that colour theme there. So I'm just going to grab out, what have we got here? Oh, there's some nice dark matte brown ones. Let's see if they work. Yeah, they're like a browny green sort of colour. They might work with this. Okay. So what I want to do now is just do a little bit of netting in the front of each of these 3mm. So I'm going to bring my needle again out of a demi-round bead. I'm just picking up 3 size 15s and I'm going through the front and popping those 3 size 15s together through the next demi-round. So 3 size 15s and through that demi-round, just like that. And then when you start to pull this in over the top, you'll see there will be able to do some peyote to hold that in place. So again, 3 size 15s. I'm not sure what I'll do when I get to the bit where I've done the join, but I'm sure that we'll just treat them as one, I think. 3 size 15s. So just continue that all the way around. Like that. One, two, three. And what that starts to do, you can see how the 3mm are now poking out. They're pushing their way to the outside. When we push that back in here, it's definitely not ready to set yet, but you can see how that starts to create that really nice edge around the outside. So I'll continue with my 1, 2, 3. And as I said, when I get to the where I've got the 2 demi-rounds together, I'm going to just treat those as one. So you can see there, that's that point right now. So I'll treat those as one. One, two, three. And in the grand scheme of things, I think that's going to work quite okay. And see how that's starting to pull that around. I mean, I'm holding it in. It's not ready to set yet, but that's coming up over that edge. And the needle's just unthreaded again. It's going to look fun with that little bee topper and then a some sort of fringe at the bottom with the yellow daggers. Okay, 1, 2, 3. I'm just literally pulling that little picot of 3 size 15 beads to sit in front of the 3mm, so that the 3mm pokes out at the sides, and the little picot gives us an opportunity to do some peyote and capture this piece on the front. 3. Like that, nearly all the way around. And for those of you who follow along on socials, you might have seen me launch our new bead desk board a week or so ago. So that's what I'm currently working on now, is the bead station desk model, which is our lovely large beading board ready to work on at your desk. And it features all the same fun things like removable mats and inserts and a lid. And yeah, this is called our desk board. So it's 35 centimeters by 24 centimeters. So it's a really good size for working on big projects and having as your permanent solution rather than a sort of travel or transportable one. So this is the bead station desk, and you can find that at our Etsy store now with 4 different coloured lids and 2 fun inserts that go with it, and of course the flex frame, which is the genius of this model, being able to change your mat on your bead board. Okay, so I'm back to the start. And what I'm doing is I'm coming up through the central size 15 bead on the first net added. I'll just pop that in there. Yep, you can see how that's going to come around and match that. What I want to make sure is that it's sitting with those 2 join areas side by side on the other side there. And then I need another bead to hold that in, and I think I'll go for a gold this time, not the bronze. So I'll just grab out some gold size 11s. And what I want to do now is just pop a size 11 in between each one of those picot beads there. So one size 11 like that. One size 11. And what that does, it just starts to sit over the edge of our cabochon really nicely. Yep, I think that's going to work. So see how it's just started capturing, and now that lovely little edge of 3mm is poking out at the sides there. Again, you can build off that. You can do, netting, all sorts of things off those 3mm. But the nice little size 11 capture there with the 15 picots just tightens that up really nicely. So I'm just going through the center size 15 bead each time. And the more I'm sort of holding it, the more it's building and firming as a nest around that cabochon. As I said, definitely not ready, not tightened and finished yet, but I'm just holding it in place because just so it starts to have some bead memory of where it needs to live and be. I'm up to the point where I've got the 2. What I might do there is actually add 2 size 11s in that gap and not 1. Let's just see what that looks like. Only because it's a larger gap on the sides there. Yep, 2 works. So as I said, that's the difference between an oval and a round, is making those sort of sides longer So you can see how that's holding that in place really well. Now I'm going to have to add some more thread on there because it's going to undo. So again, I will use my method of just tying a loop in my new thread, popping that over the tail of my working thread like that, getting the two ends and drawing them tight. I like to get my scissors and give it a really nice clean haircut and chop off those ends. Then I get my lighter and just melt the ends of that just slightly and pull the new thread and the working thread together. Run my thumb and forefinger over that and I've got a nice rounded knot, and there's my new join ready to go. Really simple way to join fire line. It's my favorite technique to join it because you can make the knot go really quite down low near your beadwork if you need to, if you don't want to drag it through too many beads. Sometimes that's really handy if you're working with a lot of size 15s at your join level. Maybe I should have done that. We'll see if they're going to go through these 15s. Okay. Sorry, I'm just rethreading the needle again. Oh, come on. I think I would have done this before. Doing what you're not supposed to do and just, you know, flattening the end with my teeth. Anyway, it's done. Okay, so let's just continue on. Again, I'm just going to hold my little cab in place there so it sits in the right spot and come up through the, there's my knot, gone through the central size 15. Yep, that's going to work. So this vintage stone in the oval shape, it's a very similar shape to some of the oval crystals and things that you can get. So by all means, you can certainly adapt what I'm doing here to a crystal. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be this vintage stone, but this sort of technique of capturing cabochons with that dog bone works on any sort of round, you know, crystal rivolis, some of those pearl pieces that are, you know, the 14 mil pearl cabochons works with them as well. And I have used this technique a lot on creating earrings and, as I said, the treble brilliance piece. So it's fun creating with the dog bone technique. And so again, I'm just coming up through each one of those center pieces. You can see now how that's really holding that cab in place. The back is looking lovely too. The back's lovely and neat. And it's just another way. I know there's a lot of bead embroidery around capturing pieces and cabochons, but you can certainly do some beautiful bead weaving techniques as well for that. So again, I'll just keep pulling that tight every time. I'm getting to the point where I'm going to have to add my two side pieces in on the over that edge there. So again, I'll just grab two gold and come up through the central 15. Look at that, looks beautiful. One gold, and I'm nearly back at the start. And voila, my piece is now holding that cab in place beautifully. And I'll come up through the central, this is where I started. Come on. Just let's move my hand around a different way and see if that makes a difference. And there it is. Okay, now that's not set firmly just yet. It's definitely much better than it was, but it's definitely not finished. So what I'll do now is add one row of 15s in between each of those 11s. So I think I might go for a greeny colour, but I need a green 15, not a green. I'm in the green drawer. And a dark green. Let's see what that one is. Oh, no, that's yucky. That's a blue green. A dark green. Oh, there you go. I might need to go bead shopping for some dark green size 15s. Oh, there's some. Look at this colour. This is a Toho one. Let's pull them out. I don't even know where I got those from, but we'll see if they work. They're a nice shiny. Okay. All right, so let's try this dark green one now. So I'm just popping one green in between. And it's a nice bronzy green anyway, so it does look well with this. 115 in between each of those 11s, like that. Beautiful. So what do you think about this as a capture method for a cabochon? It's fun, bit different, gives you lots of techniques and options to build from with the 3 mils around the outside and the demi round beads with the lovely big holes. So it's a really good way to expand on a piece. Look at that. Looks pretty good. And then we'll work out how we're going to attach some dagger beads at the bottom with the, creates a sort of automatic fringe with dagger beads. And then assemble with the sort of the bee piece at the top of this. So that little bee cabochon can sit nicely at the top. So it will need some sort of frame around it to capture it. Again, to tie this together would be using very similar colours and themes. So, the 3 mils that I've used in the bronze, the size 15s in both colours, the gold, they're the colours that I'll put around that bee piece as well. And nearly at the start of this, and you can see now how well that cab is sitting in the centre there. There's the back. The back's lovely and neat as well with that sort of cut. You could probably show this piece either way, actually. The round smooth front or the cut piece at the back. Up to you which way you'd want that to face, but you could do either as the front or back. Nearly done. And the more on, the sort of I'm pulling on this as well, the tighter and firmer that's sort of sitting really nicely around that piece. So you can see there I've got all my beads all the way around. I've got a really nice back capture area, and I can start to build different things off the sides of these 3 mils as well. So I'm just going to finish my thread on this piece, because this is, actually I'll just run the thread all the way through that last row one more time, just to give it a little bit more security, and so I can pull that knot into the work. So I'll go through those size 15s and the size 11s in that final 2 rows. One more time. Yep, there's my 2 sides that I have there with the because of the oval shape, which works well. Just had to think about how to make that fit around a round piece fit around an oval, and that was to make the sides narrower than the top. And really, you know, I've got a couple little bees. I could actually just stitch a couple of little bees on the top of those pieces there if I wanted to as well. So okay. Oh, thanks, Glenda. We'll see you later. If you've got to leave, no problem. Thanks for coming this morning. And Shelley, yeah, it is a lovely technique, this dog bone technique. So please check it out with the Treble Brilliance tutorial, which shows you how to do all of that in detail, as does, I think, my Sparkly Studs earring tutorial as well. Both of them feature this method. Okay, there we go. Now I'm just going to finish that thread. As I said, I've sort of gone through that a couple of times. The back's nice and neat and secure. The front looks lovely now too. As I said, we could pop a little couple of bees either side here if I wanted to, but I'll just finish that off for now. And let's get our bee piece and think about what that's going to look like at the top. Okay, so I've also got these dagger beads to use in fringing here as well. And again, you know, they're sort of going to sit, I think, something like that off that bottom. I'll think about whether there's a bit of a longer dagger fringe type thing there, but we'll see what that looks like. Okay, now the little 14mm bee piece, again, I could do a little quick bead embroidery around that and pop some cup chain potentially around there as well. So I've got some nice sparkly cup chain here somewhere. I could do that. I'm not sure if that matches the piece. So I do have some black cup chain, but I don't think black works with this because it's more bronze and gold tones. What else could I do? I know what I'm going to do. Okay. So one of the ways to actually capture a piece like this, as I said, you know, bead embroidery, absolutely you can do, but I want to try and use beads rather than bead embroidery. So what I'm going to do is create a little sort of, let's do a circle section, maybe 6 size 11 beads. And we're actually just going to create a little sort of back netting piece that's going to sit on the back of this cabochon. So I'll just go back around those again in a circle like that, been through that twice. And then I'm just going to do a little half hitch knot over that thread bridge between the first 2 beads there, just to sort of make that secure. So just like that. Now let's just add on to this. So I'll come up through the first bead added, and then I might do 1 size 15 in between each first. So I've just picked up a brown 15, and it's literally just, I haven't thought about what colours I'm using here. It's still just the same beads that I've used in the other piece. But what I'm trying to do is create a little sort of net frame back that we can build some little arms off to come up over the edge of this little bee piece. I don't want to cover too much of the front of the bee because it's small and you don't want to lose the effect of the bee piece either. So, okay, so there's my first 2 rounds, which is the size 11s first and then the size 15 beads. Okay, now because it's a sort of a netting technique, I'll come up through the first bead and let's just do a 15, 11 and a 15 and go through that next 15 bead, just like that. So what I'm doing is, you know, building out little arms off each row that can start to create a backing piece as a little net to hold on this cabochon. And then we can just run some, I think some coppery 3 mils over the edge to hold it all in place. That's what I think will happen. Again, so I've just done 4. So I'm sort of keeping with the theme of 6 here. Eventually that might become 12, depending upon how I increase. But my little basis that I've just started here now has 6 little arms in that netting technique. So you can see that there. And what I'll do is come up through the center bead of the first net added, and now let's add another one. So we'll do a bit bigger this time. So I'll do 2 size 15s and 11 and then 2 15s. So each of these little nets is slightly larger than the first one, so that it creates a better frame and basis to build off. Okay, so 2, 1 and 2, and then through the first, just like that. And I don't need to make this terribly big. It's only a 14 mil cab. It will just needs to come to the edge of the cab, this little foundation that we're creating, so that I can do a edge capture sort of thing. So just sort of, you know, pull them into their points as you add them. Like that. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And come up through the first added. And let's just check how far away this is from the edge. So you can see here I've now got my 6 little triangle points. And there's my little bee. So you can see there, that's pretty much going to hold that in place, because the size of my little frame that I've made here is the size of that cabochon. Okay, so I'm coming up through the first bead added. So let's pick up 2 size 15s, a 3 mil and 2 15s again. So the 3 mil, I'm hopeful, is just going to hold that in place like that over the edge. Maybe not yet, but it will, I think. 2 15s, 2 15s, a 3 mil, 2 15s. You can see how when I pop that there, how they'll come just over the edge. Okay, so I need some more 15s. And this is all, you know, this idea of how to capture cabochons, exploring different techniques to do that, where sometimes we get a bit stuck in our ways of how to capture them, and this way I like to experiment and try and find different ways to actually do that capture. As I said, not always using bead embroidery. Sometimes the back of a cab is just as nice as the front, and you don't necessarily want to cover all of that. Not necessarily the case with this little bee, but you know, the back of that oval cab is beautiful, so I don't really want to cover off that completely either. So you can see there my little net's just gotten bigger and bigger each time with these little rounds that I'm putting in place. And now I'm going to cut my tail off this time. Now when I pop the bee on there, you can see how the 3 mils are just sitting on the outside of that edge there. So I'll just pull that a bit closer so you can see that. So what that does is give me a really good way to then bring up those nets and hold them over the top of the cabochon. That's what we're trying to do. Okay, so let's come up through the cabochon this time. And let's see how that's going to work. So I want to sort of try and bring that up over the edge there somehow. Want that to hold it in. I might need a little row of, we might need another row of 3 mils, I think. So let's try 11 3 mil and 11. I'm literally guessing what this is going to be like, so I don't know. If I do 11 3mm and 11, that might work. Yep, okay. 11 3mm and 11, go through the 3mm. I need some more 3mm. 11, 3mm and 11. Not sure whether this is going to be a deep enough net yet to come up over the edge. I might need to go back and do something more, but that's what I'm sort of thinking, that the this could potentially have had to mean 2 11s and a 3mm, but don't know yet. We'll see what this looks like. But you can, as you start to build these little nets, it's coming up over the side, because this net is smaller than the previous net that I've done. So it automatically becomes a side wall. So again, I'll come back up through, step up through the first. So if I hold that on the side there, you can see how that little edge, it's like a little dish. And that's what we want, is to hold that. Yep, that's going to work. Okay, so I'm coming up through the first one. And I think I need to come through the size 11 bead there. And then I just want to add a couple of beads to hold in place. So let's just try 2 size 15s and see what that looks like. 2 size 15s. And I'm going to skip through the 11, sorry, the 3mm and the 11. 2 15s. And go through all 3. No, I need 3, not 2. Okay, sorry, I'll just go back and actually I might do a 15, 11 and a 15, I think, because what that does is give me a different sort of anchor point to pull on in the front of these 3mm. Okay, let's try that again. So a 15, 11 and a 15, and come through 3 beads. Yep. 15, 15, 11 and 15. Again, through the 11, the 3mm and the 11. And let's just hold our little bee there. The colours look fabulous, don't they? Looks really cool. So 15, 11 and 15, and then through 3 like that. So I've got some nice little picots there to net up over the top. So 15, 11 and 15. So this will work with any flat backed 14mm cab, this sort of count that I've done here. I started, as I said, I started with 6 beads and just built up a different sort of shaped and length net each time, and then reversed that and made them smaller so that they create that nice little wall over the top. Now that's not holding in place yet, but you can see how the walls there are on the sides, and now I just want to drag something over those bridges there, and I'm going to grab, I know I'll do the bronzy greeny color. So 1 2 3 4 maybe I think is probably going to work. So I'm going through that next 11 bead, 4 or 5. I think probably 5 is better. 4's and yeah, definitely, and I've tangled that too. So let's just undo that. Manage to stitch it to itself. Let's do 5 and go through the size 11 bead. And when I pop my little cab in there, so you can see now that just creates that nice little edge over the top there. So 1 2 3 4 5 through the next size 11. 1 2 3 4 5 through the next size 11. Go on, back you go. Back in your whole little bee. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 through the next size 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 through the 11. So look at how beautiful that looks now, holding in place. And I've used netting techniques to capture this little bee cabochon. Look at that. I think this is a really fun way. I haven't lost any of the surface of the bee, and in fact, because it's the glass dome, it really gives a bit of depth now to that piece by having that edge on there. One of the ways to sort of make that more circular rather than straight lines is now I'm just going to run my needle through the size 15s and go in front of the 11 bead, and that final row just creates it as a bit more of a circle rather than a hexagon. Hexagon, is that 6 sides? Yep. Piece. And just gives a little bit, more alignment and tension to that final row. So run that through the final size 15 beads. And again, this is a sort of technique, makes a really nice earring with just the glass cabs. Put a little loop and earring wire on that, and all of a sudden you'd have a lovely little earring. So look at that. And isn't it ironic that it's now hexagons or it's a honeycomb shape, and we're doing bees? So that's good fun. So that piece goes then really nicely with the cabochon like that. Look at the back. The back's nice and neat too. So both of our backs are lovely on these pieces, and it's just going to sit just like that at the top of the pendant. So pretty fun. I need to think about how I'm going to join that together now. So let's move our needle to come back down to the bottom of this piece. Although whilst I'm here, I should probably do a loop at the top. The other thing I'd probably just need to try and line up is that the bee is straight. So I'll just sort of use the awl to move that around a little bit before I really finish that off, because I really do want the bee to be straight at the top of the piece. If it's a hexagon like that, that's sort of the top of it. Okay. Let's move my needle to come up to the top here and make some sort of loop. That would be our beaded loop. I'm thinking of what the end of this is going to look like in terms of a cord. So I'm just going to do a really simple loop of just some size 11 beads. And I think I've just picked up 6 because that's what's on my mat. I'll just throw a couple more out. 6, 7, 8, 9, something like that. 9 is probably a good number. And then I'm just going to go through the next 3 mil like that. Really simple loop just at the top, because I will want to just add a cord through there. Again, if you're doing an earring, that's a really fun way just to make that a little simple earring loop as well. And come back up through and just thread through that again, just so that it's nice and secure. So I think I added 9, 8. There you go. Let's just pop one more in and make a point on that. So there you go, 9 beads in the top of that loop there. So that's where our ribbon or cord will be added later. So I'm just going to pop that in, do a little half loop there. And let's bring the needle now all the way back down to the bottom. And work out how I'm going to join this together with the lovely oval cab that we've already beaded. So, and that's the bottom section there. Okay, So that's how my top and bottom look when they're together. And I think what I might do, I'm not going to use the bronze because I've already used a lot of those in this. I do need something that's going to sit between the two, and I might grab out a gold spacer. I think might be a nice gold spacer. So I'm thinking sort of like a metallic gold spacer, which years ago I used to use them a lot more than what I sort of do now, but I think that might be what works on something like this type of thing. You know, some sort of gold flower, something like that. I've got those sort of gold ones. Let's see if I've got pairs of anything. See what's there. So I've got the little flower. I've got these gold spacer things. I think probably the little flowers might be what works, given that it's bees, and then I could potentially put little flowers there as well, couldn't I? Yeah, that's what'll work. All right, so I'm going to just pick up a flower bead, and then a gold. And my top of my piece, so remember I had 11, so that'll be that bead right there will be the top of my piece. And I'm now just going to pick up another gold, another little flower, and another gold, and go through that piece just there. There we go. That's joined that pretty well, actually. And sort of reverse my direction again. So go up through a couple of beads. Reverse the direction, come back down through the same sort of thread paths again. So through the gold and the flower. Like that. Come across. So I'm really just reinforcing by going through that a couple of times, up through the gold and the flower and the gold bead again. So there we've got our bead, a bee, our flower, the yellow, and now I'm going to put some fringe on the bottom. Look at that. Little honeybees with her flower. And as I said, you know, I can do some sort of decorative more around here if I wanted to, but I'm just going to move my needle now to come out at the bottom. So again, I'll use the thread path that I have there with the 3 mils and the demi rounds. Around the outside, around the outside. Like that. And I want to be somewhere near where I want to do this drop fringing here. Again, I could potentially do a couple more little flowers in there too. I'll just put those aside for the moment. But yeah, they may work there as well in that fringe. So fringe to me needs to be an odd number, not an even number. Again, I've got 10 beads here, so I could do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 to, would that work? No. What would I do? 4, 3, 7, 2, and 1. So, okay, let's do that. So I'm going to start with, so if I do 1, 2, 3, 4, is that right? Yep. I'm going to start with the size 15 again. So 15 dagger bead and a 15 and go through the next 3 mil. Now, that's not working. That's ugly, Paula, because it's too thready. See how it's really thready there? So I actually need longer strands of 15s either side of that. So I'm just going to take that off there because I don't like that. And I want to get some more of these greeny coppery ones anyway. Okay, so let's try that again. So let's try 3 size 15s, then the dagger bead, and then 3 15s, and go through the next 3 mil. Yep, that's better. So you can see there it's not as thready now. The 15s have popped in there nicely. But what I'm actually going to do, sorry, I'll just undo that, so that it's a little bit neater fitting into the gap between the 3 mils, I'm just picking up 2 the second time and I'm going through the first 15 added. And you'll see what I mean when I pull that in. So it's just made that a little triangle section then over the over the dagger, and fits in better in that gap. So I'll repeat that. So pick up 3 size 15s, a dagger bead, and then 2 size 15s, and go back through the first 15 added. And that'll create a triangle that sits over the top of the dagger bead instead. See, like that. That's nice and neat. 1, 2, 3, dagger, 2, and then go back through the first 15 added, and then through the 3 mil, see how that's just neater with those dagger beads? Looks really neat now with that nice little fringe. So 1, 2, 3, and 2. So it looks like a nice little tail there in the yellow. Go back through the very first 15 added again, through the 3 mil. And then I want to try and reverse my direction again too. So okay, so you can see there my little fringes, really nice and neat with that triangle section at the bottom, at the bottom of the cabochon and over the top of the dagger is really neat. Now, let's reverse direction. So again, I'll just do a little half hitch, between the threads here to reverse that direction. And then I want to add the next row. So I'll come back through here again. I'm going to come down through the size 15s, and then I'm going to come through the dagger bead. Now let's add up. We'll pick up another size 15, another dagger, come on, and another 15, and then go through that next dagger bead. So 15, dagger, 15, and through. $15, dagger, and 15, and then through. Let's see what that looks like. Come on, don't tangle on me now. Look at that. That looks pretty cool actually. Now one of the ways to sort of tighten that and finish it, I could add a size 11 bead just here. I think that might work on the outside. Move my needle all the way across to the other side. Went one too far. I'll come back out of the 3 mil. And then back down the side of those little 15s. And it looks like a little tail feather on the bottom of our bee and flower piece. Just like that. But that looks fun. Okay, I'm going to put that one aside because I think the next thing that needs is the ribbon, and I've used the ribbon over here with my orange girl, so I might have to find some other ribbon to put on that. But that's another really fun way just to do two different capture techniques, so the dog bone technique around the oval cab and then a netting technique around the bee piece. So then just a little bit of fringe with some dagger beads at the very end. But let's put that one aside and have a look at what's next in our beads from Angie. So let's go to green. We've done orange and yellow in our citrus themes. And let's have a look what's in the green section that she's given me. So there's a beautiful large big stone there. And look at this one. So what's the size of this, Angie? Do I have to get my ruler out and measure that? Probably that would be helpful. Guess what that is. So one of the ways I like to measure circles is with one of these rulers. If you don't have one of these, grab one. They're perfect for just, you know, working out the size of these things. So there you go. That's a 35 mil stone. You can see there it's got 35. It fits perfectly in that circle. So really great way to measure your stones with that. So 35 mil, that's huge. That's a really big stone. We've also got to go with these really nice hexagon beads. And they've got like a pink sort of AB coating on them as well. So they've got holes that go this way. Their holes go on one side. So they're through a flat side here, flat side there, and then they're on the top of the piece. So putting them around a piece like this would be how you would actually use them, like that. So that the two beads, two holes sit on that side, and then there's a top hole there. So this would probably sit up over the edge. Again, a different way of capturing something like this would be to have the two holes sit over there, over the edge. I think that's probably how we'll work it. Okay, now let me think about how I'm going to do that. I wonder whether maybe I might go to some silver tones with this one, not gold. Although it's got a goldy green tinge to it, I think the silver might be a really nice contrast with this. So I think that's probably what I'll go to, is a silver colour. Silver and hot pink maybe with this. So there you go. There's a real variation on a line, would be silver and hot pink. And what I want to do is work out how to get the two holes sitting on the top like that. So can you see the two holes? And then the pointy holes are at the bottom, because that's how I'll net it underneath. I think that's how it's going to work. Okay, let's get some silver beads out. So again, I'll go to my matte silver colour. And let's get some smoke fire line this time. $35 mil. Yes, it is definitely a 35 mil, Angie. It's a huge big stone, and that's why I think something like this, using those pentagon shaped beads, is a really good way to build up the sides and hold that center stone in place. So I've used two hole beads a lot recently in different projects, and I love just the way that you can use them to build a really nice wall around a cabochon. So I've done that with rounds and crystals and all sorts of things, and they do work really well. Now Angie's given me some beautiful size 8 lime green seed beads there as well, and let's pull those in too, so that we can see how they're going to look in this piece. They've got a really nice AB coating on them as well, so they're a fun green colour. And I think with some green and pink and silver together, they're going to look really cool. So let's just pull up our, so I've gone through my pentagon bead here. I'm just going to pop 3 size 11s on the top there and then come back through that pentagon like that, because that's sort of the edge that I want to have that sits over the top of my piece there. Now I might pull a silver, a green and a silver, come back through the next size of the next pentagon bead. I'm just guessing that is going to work. I don't really know yet. Silver. So point my bead in the right direction. This is going to be fun. Okay, and then pick up 3 size 11s again. Go back down through like that. Yep. So that's sort of how I think this is going to sit over the edge. Okay, we'll keep going. So green, silver, green, silver. Come up through a pointy hole side, and then pick up 3 size 11s. Go back down through the flat side like that. So what I'm trying to build is a section that looks like that. Opaque fuchsia luster, yes. What are the hex beads? These are a hex 2-hole bead, Linda. They're ones I've seen years ago. I think I've got some there. I'm not sure that I've ever used them before. So this is a good challenge, Angie, to get me to use something. But they're about, how big are they? Let's see how big. Let's measure them. So they're about 1 centimetre across. Yeah, so they're a reasonable size, which means it makes it an easy build for a cabochon. Now, did I go through the right hole there? Let's flip that way. Yep, got to remember. So it's 3 on the inside edge, and then the green, the silver, and the green on the outside edge. So there you go. You can see how that strip is starting to form. Okay. Let's just keep going. 3 silver, green, silver, green, silver, and come through the pointy edge. It's just a matter of remembering which way to use the hexagon bead. And yeah, they're different because of where their holes are actually placed. They're not, straight through the bead. They're on 3 edges of a 5-sided bead. So just got to remember where they are in terms of placing them. Okay. And so I'm just building a wider or a bigger edge here at the back, which is where the green bead, you could potentially do the green bead on the inside or on the back. It's not really going to matter just yet. I could flip that either way. So it could have the green beads could be on the inside like that, or the silver beads could be on the inside. Either one is going to work. But we'll just keep going with this to then make that decision. The green obviously is going to look beautiful green on top of that gorgeous green center stone. And again, the 6mm size seed beads here, such a fun way to work with a bigger bead size to get a really big outcome. So I know we often scoff at the bigger size beads, the size 8s and the size 6s, but they're super cool way to get bang for your buck because of how much bigger they actually are. And that looks really nice there, that sort of little edge piece that we're starting to create. Okay, I don't know how many I'm going to need to go around this, but that's okay. We'll work that out as the piece builds. Not as concerned about even or odd numbers with this one. I think whatever is the best fit is what's going to work. Partly because, why am I not worried? I think it's more the fact that these are big pieces that are going to sit on the outside. So I'm not really worried about doing peyote where I need to be conscious of an even number. I think that's probably my thinking. And they're going to look beautiful with I'm going to definitely add in some pink into these, Alex. So it will be that opaque fuchsia colour. So honeycomb beads. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Carol, for telling us what they're called. Honeycomb beads. There you go. Is that the technical term, Angie? Would you call these honeycomb beads if you were looking for them with you? So you can see here I'm nearly all the way around this piece. Maybe 2 more I think is probably going to be enough. How many is that? That's 5, 9, 11. So there you go. I've got a really ugly number there as the joining number, 11. 11's not a number that is divisible by very many things, which is why it's not a fun number in beading, but it's going to work for this. So that's 10. Is 10 enough, or am I going to go to 11? Let's see. So I'm really just gauging, is this going to wrap around? So it'll either be the green beads on the inside. So tell me what you think. That's the green beads on the inside, or it will be the silver beads on the inside. I think maybe the green ones. Yeah, I think maybe the green ones are going to work. Okay, I'm going to do one more set. Again, this, just remembering which way I want to go through these holes, like that. And 3 silver. And then I have to join these two ends together. So let's think about what that's going to look like. So I need a silver, green, and a silver. And when I come to the edge of the other end of my piece, I don't want to twist that. It's over here. I'm going to come back down to there. And there is my nice circle. Look at that. That's going to sit over the edge of that piece, I think. Is it the right number? Remember, I did 11 of those pentagon shaped beads. So that's the green. Tell me what you think. Green on the inside or silver? I think it's the green. I think the green flows nicer like that. Okay. Just like that edge. So Angie said they're called Pego beads, an obscure bead in Australia. Okay, Pego beads. Oh, wow. I know I've definitely got some of these, and I think I bought them when I went to the Czech Republic. So that's what that's going to look like. Now, let's think about how to get that to tighten around that piece. I definitely can come back and do some more over the top of that, and I'm going to grab out some pink beads to go with that. And as Alex has said, it's the fuchsia, opaque fuchsia colour. I love that dark opaque fuchsia. Oh. My pink bead drawer is my most jam-packed. As you can imagine, it's a colour I use all the time. There we go. It's decided to cooperate. This is the colour that I want to put with it, that dark fuchsia. And I do have that in 11s, 15s and 8s. So I don't know which ones I'm going to need yet, but that dark fuchsia is going to look beautiful with that. So there's a really good citrus contrast. Citrus lime and fuchsia looks really, really cool together, especially with that little bit of silver. Okay, now this is very loose at this stage. It's definitely not tightened. So to start to sort of tighten that up, remember that's my tail thread where I started. I'm just going to do a little half hitch here just to, provide a bit of a knot / anchor point on my work there. And I want to come out through these size 15 beads here, because what I'm trying to do is now close that around the outer edge, the outside edge, backside edge, whatever I want to call it. So I want to sort of close over the back there. So let's just hold that way. So there you can see is the really nice ring. That's going to sit like that. And then these are going to come up over the back like that. So I need to build in some sort of capture at the back there. So let's just pop maybe three silver. Actually, let's put a bit of pink in here. Just so that, and I like to do different colours where I can, because that really helps then when you're trying to work out your next move or step. So I've just picked up 4 beads. I've done 2 silver, 2 pink and 2 silver. And I'm going to go through the 3 silver beads on the next hexagon shape, just like that. So silver, 2 pink and silver, and through 3. And I'm trying to guess whether this will be enough beads to actually start to close that over the back. Probably, she says with confidence. Okay, silver, 2 pink and a silver, and then, oh look, I've got 4 there on that one. Look at that sneaky one with 4. So I'm just going to break one of them out, break it free. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. So as soon as I start to pull those beads in, it's just straightening that up and creating more of a wall there, which is exactly what I want. I want that to be, you know, the sort of the pego beads, pentagon-shaped beads, to actually start to stand up so that they're going to hold in place like that. I think that's going to work. I probably won't know till I get a few more done whether the count of 4 11 beads in this ring is enough. Yeah, I think it will be. I'll just pull that nice and tight, because that's got to sit like that. 4, I don't know, I think maybe I need 5, because see, it's starting to, it's a bit thready there. Yep, I'm going to need 5. So I'm sorry, you're just going to have to bear with me while I go back to here and just undo that. So now, why did I say I need 5? Because I think it was a little bit thready, that gap, trying to hold it together. So if I make it 5, which gives me a nice point as well. So let's bring in another green coloured bead, I think, in that. I grabbed out these matte green beads before. Just pop some of them out. Okay, let's try that again. So I'm now going to do silver, pink, green, pink, silver. So 5 beads, and then go through the 3. And by popping a green bead there in the centre, again, that's, you know, a really good netting point for me. So pink, green, silver, pink, green. Is that right? No, that's not correct, Paula. It is silver, pink, green, pink, silver. That's the right combo. And then I'm going to go through the 3 like that. So I've got silver, pink, green, pink, silver, and then come back up through the 3. Thanks for sticking with me today, guys. This has been an awesome session that I've had with you today. Fantastic beads again from Angie. So make sure you check out Chicky Babes Beads on Facebook and see, you know, message Angie if you're interested in some of these. I'm sure she'd be happy to pull together a kit for you if that's what you wanted to do, and create your own citrus themed pieces. The 35mm stone is very special, so I'm really pleased with that. And I love the little orange dolly head that was in this kit as well. So great surprise beads, Angie, in the citrus theme. So please make sure you have a look and see, or message Angie if you're interested in these beads. So the 5 again, through that 3, and let's just do a bit of a sense check before I get too carried away. So that's sort of flaring nicely. That's going to see how it's not thready like it was before around those sides, and it's pulling up nicely over that edge. So again, silver, pink, green, pink, silver, and go through the 3. So I'm glad I'm used these pentagon shaped beads, because as I said, I've definitely got some of these. I bought them in the Czech Republic years ago and I've never used them. So always good to be challenged with using different shaped beads. So thanks, Angie, for getting me out of my comfort zone with this shape. And I really like the look of these with that AB coating on them, and with bringing in those pink tones as well, because it's just given a really great contrast for this piece. So our citrus colours, as much as, you know, orange and lime and yellow are the theme colours of today's session with citrus, we've really broadened that by adding in the pink and silver with this as well. You know, the gold and brown with the bee coloured theme, and that sort of orange and lime with the initial first piece. So let's draw that into a nice circle. So look at that really nice net that's sitting there. So I'll just show you a bit closer what that looks like. The count of 5 beads seems to be perfect because it's flaring out towards the back, which means it's going to hold that cab in place. Let's just pop that over the edge. It looks really special, actually. Oh, really looks lovely. All right. Now, that's definitely not holding yet, but you can see how that's going to work. So what I need to do now is use some netting techniques to draw in where I put those sets of 5 beads. So remember, I started with 4 and then I went to 5, and my 5th bead that I added is the green bead, which is the center bead. So I'm going to come up through that green bead. Now let's add on. What are we going to add here? I've got, let's do a bit more of the same sort of colorways. So if I do, let's do pink first, and then maybe 3 silver, and then pink, and go through the next green bead. Just see if that's enough of a net to go over the back of that piece yet. Yeah, I think that should be okay. Okay, so I've done pink and then 3 silver because that's sort of the theme that I've got here. So I've kept that consistent. And then I'm going to go through the next green bead. Definitely won't hold yet in place, but it will start to net over the back of those pego beads. 1, 2, 3 silver, 1 pink, then up through the next green like that. Okay, pink, 1, 2, 3 silver, pink, and then through the green. And let's pop our centerpiece in and just see how that holds. Yep, that's going to be really nice finish on the back there. There's my little, what's that bit of thread? Move that out of the way. So I'm just going to try and work and hold it in place now. So, you know, it starts to get some bead memory of where it's got to sit and hold. So again, I've picked up my 5 beads and I'm coming up through the green bead. Yep, that's going to be lovely. Okay, pink. 1, 2, 3 silver, pink, and then through the green. Like that. Yeah, that's I wish you could feel it. I wish it was feel-o-vision so you could see what that looks like. Yes, if I do a decorative, yep, you're right, Angie, it could be a double-sided piece. We do like a double-sided piece. So we'll see how pretty I can make this netting on the back. so that it is double-sided. Good suggestion. And what, because these are really deep, these pego beads, it just gives really good depth and vision on the front of that crystal. I mean, I might just flip this in a second and we'll see what it looks like with the other side as well. But I do like the idea of those limey green beads on the front. And we might put some of those on the back here as well. Those 6mm beads. Oh, size 6 beads, not 6mm, sorry. And when I pull that tight, it sort of becomes a bit petally shaped as well, by curving those little strands. Come on, there's a tail in the way. I've just looped that several times in the wrong spot. Okay. There it is. Amazing how you can get a tangle very easily. Okay, that fixed that. So I'm nearly at the end here. So I'm pushing the cab so that it's sitting at the edge of this sort of netting that I'm doing, so that the green beads are sort of sitting up a little bit higher at the back. And look, this sort of technique would only work, I do think, with a deep sided cab, because they're a largish sort of bead. They'd be too big on a smaller stone or a smaller crystal. I definitely think they work because this is such a large stone. So yeah, they'd be a little bit too high over a smaller stone. I'm just popping that out for the minute while I get to this last green bead. And see, there's the beauty of using a different coloured bead there in that netting, because it's given me, you know, really good visual cue of where to put my needle next. Okay, so there's my little net. Let's pop our stone in place. And I'm just sort of trying to push that to the back so that it sits. Yeah. So there's the front. There's the back. But what happened if we flipped it? Let's see what it looks like if we flip it. What if that's the front? Come on, cooperate. What if that was the front? Yeah, I don't think it works as well. And why? Because remember I did 5 beads to make that flare inwards. Yeah, so that's not going to work. So let's disregard that idea and pop it back where my original thought process was, like that. Okay. Now I'm going to need to do some more netting on the back to hold it, because it's definitely not holding. I can see how I want it to hold. That's exactly how I want it to sit, just like that. Which means that the pego beads are sitting up sort of proud, and I need to do some netting around the front there to hold, but the back is sitting nice, just like that is how I want it to stay. So how do I get it to stay like that? Again, let's come up through the center bead there of the silver that I just popped on. I'm just going to pick up, let's try a green and then a large green and then another green, and go through the next silver bead. So this has been a lot of netting today, which is unusual. I don't ever know what I'm going to be making. But it's funny how the technique today has really focused on netting to capture those cabochons. So I do hope you've enjoyed seeing that as a different way of capturing your cabs, because I think it gives a really nice lacy effect. It helps to you know, showcase the back and the front really neatly as well. And there's different ways you can just use multitude of beads to add that netting finish. And it doesn't have to be a precise science. It's just remembering that netting is often odd numbers. You can do even as well, but you've got to remember to do 2 beads in the center. But yeah, it's a good way to use up different sort of shape beads, size beads, and different combos of 3, 5 and 7 to make those little nets and holding this in place. And that's sort of coming together really nicely now with that green holding even further. And with this being a nice 35mm stone, this is a piece on its own. It doesn't necessarily need a lot around the outer edge or anything to make that a bigger piece. The 35mm stone is pretty substantial in its own right. Be a nice paperweight potentially when I've finished with this one. Really nice decorative piece as well. So, or just, hanging from a single fuchsia cord would be a lovely pendant piece also. So how that looks really nice there now that I've just added that last row of green around that back there as well. And that's really helping to hold that in place even further. Now let's come up through the center of that last big green bead added. So there's our back, there's our front. So it's definitely firmer. It's definitely liking the bead memory I've created here to hold it in. And I will draw in the other side when we get to that bit as well, but we're not there yet. Okay, so let's do pink, green and pink. So I'm just picking up 3 beads this time and going through that green bead. So again, the netting, just changing the size and number of beads each time is how you bring that in closer and closer together. So that's sort of coming, the pink and green together really nicely. So the back is going to look just as nice as the front, which is beautiful in beadwork if you can wear something two-sided or show a different way. So what does that look like? What do you think? It's a bit like a lotus flower with these colours, I think, isn't it? Is that the sort of impression I'm getting? I'm so glad, Shelley, that this is opening up some new options for you. This is why I love to do these sessions, is to, show people different ways, the way my brain works when I'm designing things. And I hope that you sort of take this information and use it. It's exactly why I do these sessions, to share my knowledge of beading with people. And yeah, I hope you get a lot out of it too. Thank you. I appreciate you coming along. And Shelley's coming from Pflugerville in Texas, so it's a long, long way from Melbourne, Australia, and it's nighttime over there. So thanks, Shelley, for coming along today. So you can see here I've just continued that green, pink, green theme. Still not secure yet. It's definitely remembering where it's got to stay, but it's not, I couldn't hang this off a cord just yet. Okay, so there's another row of netting done in the back. But I think what I want to try and do is just come over to the front now, and let's try and secure the front a little bit more. So what's that little thread there coming from? There's my tail, I think that is. So there's the back so far. Again, I could potentially find a cab and sit it. That might be an idea. That might be an idea, Paula. Let's have a look at the face cabs drawer. Face cabs. I do have one of the places I get lovely cabs from is Angie, ironically. And look at this, I could put a face cab on the back of that. That's probably a bit big. That's a 25mm. I know I've got a smaller peacock one that could potentially sit on the back of that piece. Yeah, let's just leave that for the minute. What do you think about that as an idea for a double-sided? I've got some lovely little face ones as well. That'd be cute. I've got a raccoon. What do you think? Face, a raccoon. that's a smaller one, the peacock one. That's an obvious choice, I think, the peacock, because of the colours that we're using. I've got a little girl face. She's the wrong colour. I don't like her. But these face cabs, as I said, a lot of these, I think the raccoon I didn't get from Angie, but a lot of these I've gotten from Angie over the years. So she has a fabulous assortment of these. So I'm just going to leave them there. Tell me what you think. The raccoon or the face or the peacock? One of them. There's the raccoon. He's fun. The face is very different. And then the peacock. I'm just going to leave them. Let's have a vote. Tell me what you think. But let's go over to the front before I do any more on that back. Because if I'm going to pop a cab in there, I'll need to sort of sit that underneath that edge. And that, of course, has got that domed section. So it's going to be a bit wonky. But anyway, we'll work that out. Okay. And I might not do it anyway. So we'll see. Let's go all the way back to the front now, before I do any more on that back, because I just want to make it a little bit more secure on the front. So I'm just maneuvering my needle to go all the way through to the front of my work here. And remember, we've got those lovely holes that go on a flat side through to a pointy side here on the front of that Pego bead. So let's utilize one of them. And here we go. We've popped out at the front. So I need to bring some pink into this definitely. So let's do pink, silver and pink and just go through those 3 beads and see what that looks like. There you go. Perfect. Right over the top there. So pink, silver, pink and through the 3. Pink, silver, pink. So that's just really formed a nice little edge there over the top. Beautiful way to capture this crown stone. Lovely. As you can see how nice our edge looks, and it's got some beautiful negative space here as well. I mean, I could fill that too if I wanted to, but it looks really nice. Oh, yeah, great Christmas decoration box. Good idea, Angie. There's so many ways these big pieces can be used. It's not all about pendants, you know, how to use something like this in another decorative way as either a double-sided piece, Christmas decoration. And Angie gave me those 2 little tree shapes. You know, they look like little trees. It could be a Christmas sort of theme. But I love that with that bit of pink just coming through now. It's still not 100% tight yet, but it's definitely feeling much tighter. Pink, silver, pink, and go through there. So this row that I'm popping here on the front is really helping to make that feel firm. You can see it's still a bit wonky, but it's getting there, definitely getting there. Pink, silver, pink, through like that. And I've gone too far, so I'll come back. It sounded like a song. Pink, silver, pink. So did we have thoughts about faces, peacocks or raccoons? Okay, raccoon. Yep, that's, I can see one comment that said raccoon. Who else? Pink cab for the back. Okay, yeah, that's pink. Could do pink. Yep. What else have I got here? Peacock, raccoon, or the face? Peacock. Wow. So, okay, so there's no distinct winner here. Wonder whether I should get out a plain pink cab and see whether the plain pink cab might be something that sounds. Yeah, maybe. I like the idea of the raccoon, I think. Okay, so now I've just done that extra row. That's really helped to tighten that again. And let's just do one final row of netting on that front. So again, I'm going to come up through that silver bead and I need to go across to the next central silver bead, and I think I'd like to add a crystal in here. I think it needs a crystal. So let's grab out a 4mm fuchsia crystal. I know exactly what I want. If you could see how messy my room is now, where I'm going and grabbing stuff out and I'm not putting anything away, is all over the shop. So I actually didn't grab a 4mm crystal. I grabbed a 4mm fire polish, and now they're a nice shiny fire polish there. So let's see what that looks like. Okay, so I've got, is that space going to fit that? No, I need a silver 15 in there as well. So let's just pop out some silver 15s and go 15 fire polish, 15, and then go through the next central silver bead, and let's see what that looks like. Yep, look at that. Really beautiful shine on those fire polish. So 15 fire polish and 15 over the top. So that just gives that nice little bit more sparkle on that piece. And we'll go over the top like that. Still got our beautiful depth of that crystal coming through. The lime looks gorgeous with the pink and silver. And of course that is, you know, replicated with these AB coated Pego beads. As I said, 11's an odd number to work with, but it's working really well for netting. Still not 100% tight yet on the back. You can see they've still got a little bit of movement, but I'm okay with it because I know I'm going to do more to the back of this piece yet. So it's really just a matter of making sure the front is secure, which we're nearly there. Then I'm going to add a little bit more to the back. And again, thanks for sticking with me today. I can see some of you have been here since the very start. So I appreciate you being alongside while I'm talking and beading at you. It's great to have your company on this beautiful Saturday here in Melbourne. Okay, nearly at the point there. So those fire polish have got a beautiful coating on them as well to make them sparkle, and they look so pretty against the dark green of this crystal. And that final one in there we go. That doesn't need any more really, I don't think. Maybe one final row in between. Let's just do one more row. So you can see there, that's just given a really nice finish there. And the surprise on the back could be the raccoon. Wouldn't that be funny? Okay, now I just need one bead, I think, to sit in the center of those. But that one bead colour, I wonder whether it needs to be a size 8. I'm just going to try a gold bead and let's see. Only because I'm being really lazy and gold beads are out on my board. But I think it actually works. Yeah, it does. So I'm just popping one gold size 8 bead in between each of those fire polish now. And that's just holding that circle really nicely together. So you can see how I've reduced with the netting techniques, there's different sizes of beads, then the different shapes, and now the different count. So all sorts of beads have gone in to make that circle. And that gold actually is perfect. It's just reflected back the gold that sits within the crystal as well. Yeah, looks really cool. So what it will end up being, as I said, as Angie suggested, it could be the lid on the top of a really nice container. It could be a beautiful Christmas decoration. That's looking really nice now with that sort of pego beads on the side. You can just see that gorgeous shiny top. And then we've got our lovely back to finish over here as well. So now I can finally take off that tail thread. So look at that, sides and front. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. Really happy with how this has come together. Looks really nice. And if we go to the back, we can put a face on there. We could put a raccoon on the back. We could put a peacock. I think peacock's too small. I think it needs to be one of these guys. But I might just grab out, or do I just do some netting? I think I'll just do netting. Only because one of the reasons why I'm going to just do some more netting is the shape of the back of the crystal is all cut with the various, I don't even know what the technical term is, the points, etc. that are here. And this is flat, and I probably should have mounted that before if I was going to do that. So it needed to be mounted on perhaps some stiff stuff or something like that to mount that first. And I've gone too far to do that now. But there's an idea for a future session. Okay, let's come back out through here and do a little bit more netting and close this in. All right, again, I'm coming through a center bead. So let's get out some more silver. Where are my silver beads gone, Paula? There they are. A little bit more silver I need here. And potentially I could put some of those fire polish in the back as well. So let's try that. A silver, a fire polish and a silver, and go through the next green bead. Yep, that's beautiful. So silver, fire polish and silver through the next green. So I'm sort of now repeating a similar pattern to what is actually on the front as well. So silver, fire polish and silver through the green. Now I did a 15 on the front of this, and this time I've done an 11, and I think it's probably a little bit big. Actually, yeah, I need to undo that and do 15s. And that's partly because it's a bit of a smaller surface and circumference that I'm doing here on the back than was on the front. So yeah, if you remember when I did the fire polish on the front, I did a 15 in between each one. So let's just go back and change that up again. Okay, so 15 fire polish and 15, and see if that's a better fit through that, because the 11 was just slightly too big. Again, making it up as I go, so just testing what actually does work. Yeah, that's beautiful. Okay, 15 fire polish and 15. Fire polish and 15. And a piece like this, because it's so substantial, as I said, it could be a beautiful paperweight as well. It's a really hefty stone. So by the time I, finish decorating the back of this piece, absolutely it could sit, very nicely on a desk, on my desk. I've obviously mixed some bicones in with this little stash of fire polishes at some point. Some more silvers. Just fitting nicely in there. The 15 is the right size, either side of that fire polish. Come on. And don't forget that these videos are available on YouTube after the sessions today. So if you ever want to go back and refer to things that I've done in these, you can always find them on YouTube. And they will be pretty much loaded in the next day or so. I usually go and finish the pieces off completely and then put a little video at the end of the finished pieces. But today, actually, I've pretty much finished everything, which is unusual. Normally, I've got to go back and make a second earring or something, which I haven't had to do that today. So they are a finished piece, pretty much all of these today. So you can see there's the little ring of fire polish on the back. So what I need to do now, I'm just going to pop a 15 in between each one of those just to draw that circle closed again. So again, I've got my silver 15s. I probably need to add in a little bit more thread at some point. But this is a beautiful weighted piece that, as I said, could be decorative, sit on a desk, be a really nice paperweight, fidget toy, or I could put a lovely cord on it and hang it on a tree as a Christmas decoration, or even a really standout pendant for somebody who likes to wear big sparkly pendants as well. So lots of options with this sort of piece in what it could actually be. And my Pego beads are holding the sides really nicely together. And there we go. So there's a little bit more netting that I need to do on that other side, but I think I am going to wrap that up for today and go back and finish that later. So let's have a bit of a look and a recap of what we've done today. So I'm just going to flip over. Okay. So we do have our beautiful crystal stone crown piece here with the Pego beads around the outside. So there's the outside. You can see that there with that AB coating. And it's also got, you know, lovely fire polish on the front, fire polish on the back, and the lime green beads. So beautiful combination for a citrus lime green to go with that pink, hot pink fuchsia colour. Great suggestion, Alex. Thank you for that one. So that's that first piece. The next one we did was our little bee with the dangles. So we can see a little fringe here. We did an oval cabochon, which actually has the dog bone method at the back to hold that in place. The little tiny bee with a netting cabochon as well, and some dangled fringing there too. So again, simple cord on that one, and there's a really fun piece there in the yellow citrus themes as well. So really fun, that one too. And then last but not least was the first piece, which was our little Clementine doll. So gorgeous, love this one with her little head there, little fringe skirt with the drop beads on it, her little arms that I created for her as well. And she's just a delight. So will be a beautiful bag charm or something along those lines. So thank you so much for everybody for coming along today. As I said, I'll finish off doing some more netting on the back of that piece, but you get the concept of what I've been doing. I really appreciate Angie's support for these gorgeous beads today for the citrus theme. And again, thank you for coming from far and wide to see my Design on the Fly citrus session. See you next time. I think next time we're doing beading over forms. So that is things like jars and containers and that sort of stuff will be what the focus is next time later in September. So thank you again. Have a great day, everybody. Bye for now. Hey, it's Paula from On a String, and I thought I'd touch base and come back and show you the finished projects from my Design on the Fly session featuring citrus that I did on Saturday. Been really fun getting 3 projects completed, and let's go through and have a look and see what I actually did. So you would have saw the first project I did, which is this little clementine doll. I actually just attached a ball chain on the end of that, so it's a bag tag. So I think this is a really cute little tag to put on a handbag or hang on your beading desk, something like that. So that used the enamel piece in the centre, and then this beautiful little head and little skirt made out of drop beads and just a little chain at the top. So that was the clementine doll. The second one I did was the bee piece that actually features the daggers. I actually went and just lengthened the second row of daggers when I added those in, and then I used the yellow ribbon to tie that off. So that's a really easy finished piece using the dog bone method to actually capture that cabochon and a netting cabochon on the bee piece. And then last but not least was the large green crystal piece. This one really tested me because the thread broke as I went to finish this piece, so I had to redo the whole thing, but I'm pretty happy with how that came out. I've actually attached the tag on there that Angie sent that said, "Well-behaved women really make history," and this is just a really nice trinket to sit on a desk, paperweight. It's a lovely heavy piece as well, and you can see there the depth that comes from that crystal with the hot pink and the green and a little bit of gold, and then on the back side of it, it's got the 6mm green lime beads, and then I put a round candy bead on the back of that, a gold one to finish it. So that was the 3 pieces from the Design on the Fly. I hope you enjoyed it. I certainly had fun making those. Bye for now. Hey, it's Paula from On a String, and I thought I'd touch base and come back and show you the finished projects from my Design on the Fly session featuring citrus that I did on Saturday. Been really fun getting 3 projects completed, and let's go through and have a look and see what I actually did. So you would have saw the first project I did, which is this little clementine doll. I actually just attached a ball chain on the end of that, so it's a bag tag. So I think this is a really cute little tag to put on a handbag or hang on your beading disc, something like that. So that used the enamel piece in the center, and then this beautiful little head and little skirt made out of drop beads and just a little chain at the top. So that was the clementine doll. The second one I did was the bee piece that actually features the daggers. I actually went and just lengthened the second row of daggers when I added those in, and then I used the yellow ribbon to tie that off. So that's a really easy finished piece using the dog bone method to actually capture that cabochon and a netting cabochon on the bee piece. And then last but not least was the large green crystal piece. This one really tested me because the thread broke as I went to finish this piece, so I had to redo the whole thing, but I'm pretty happy with how that came out. I've actually attached the tag on there that Angie sent that said, "Well-behaved women really make history," and this is just a really nice trinket to sit on a desk, paperweight. It's a lovely heavy piece as well, and you can see there the depth that comes from that crystal with the hot pink and the green and a little bit of gold, and then on the back side of it, it's got the 6mm green lime beads, and then I put a round candy bead on the back of that, a gold one to finish it. So that was the 3 pieces from the Design on the Fly. I hope you enjoyed it. I certainly had fun making those. Bye for now.